Hi, I'm Charity Nebbe. I'm a sustaining member of this station because I believe in local journalism and that a news source you can trust is essential. Join me and become a sustaining member at iowapublicradio.org. Thank you.
Here First is sponsored by UCS Healthcare, offering integrated healthcare for all. Learn more about their services, including statewide access to medication-assisted treatment for alcohol and opioid use disorders at ucsonline.org.
Today is Friday. It's the 10th of September. This is Iowa Public Radio's Here First. I'm Clay Masters. Republican Governor Kim Reynolds is criticizing Democratic President Joe Biden's announcement of new COVID-19 vaccine requirements. Biden announced yesterday that businesses with 100 or more employees will have to ensure every worker is fully vaccinated or get tested weekly for the coronavirus. Federal workers and contractors, as well as federally funded healthcare and educational workers, will be required to get vaccinated. Biden says unvaccinated Americans are causing a lot of damage as COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations have been spiking. Reynolds, in a statement, called this dangerous and unprecedented. She called on Biden to trust people to make health decisions for themselves and their families. Reynolds says, quote, Biden's plan will only worsen our workforce shortage and further limit our economic recovery. She has encouraged Iowans to get the COVID-19 vaccine, but says she opposes mandates. A Polk County judge heard arguments yesterday on whether to block Iowa's ban on school mask mandates. It's one of two lawsuits challenging the law. IPR's Grant Gerlach has more.
Fran Parr of Council Bluffs filed the lawsuit last month, hoping to allow local districts to decide whether to follow CDC guidelines and require masks. Her attorney argued it's unfair for Parr's sons to have to study online to avoid exposure to the coronavirus. They asked a judge to block the ban while the lawsuit goes forward. But Assistant Attorney General Sam Langholtz argued the legislature has the authority to decide that mask mandates should be issued at the state level, not by local schools.
Ms. Parr and many other Iowans have strong feelings and opinions about the wisdom of this statute, but that's not a valid basis to enjoin a duly enacted statute of the state of Iowa.
There was no immediate decision on the injunction request.
Iowa will use federal coronavirus relief funds to pay for a $3.7 million national ad campaign that promotes the state as a destination for visitors and workers. The 30-second ad, funded by the American Rescue Plan, is part of a larger This Is Iowa promotional campaign. It will air on cable television, online, on social media sites, and through streaming services this week. Governor Reynolds says the ad campaign supports state efforts to attract new residents and train existing workers to fill a growing number of high-demand job openings. The American Rescue Plan was designed to help states recover from the coronavirus pandemic. Renewable energy in the Midwest is getting a big financial boost from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. The department said yesterday it's investing more than $400 million in solar, wind, and other renewable energy projects across rural America. Nearly half of that will go to projects in the Midwest. U.S. Secretary of Agriculture and former Iowa Governor Tom Vilsack says this investment will help rural economies grow.
I think there's a recognition and appreciation that climate-smart infrastructure can lower energy costs for rural small businesses and farming operations. It can also spur economic development.
Two of the largest loans will go to a solar farm in Illinois and an electric line enhancement project in Oklahoma. And there will be increased security in Ames tomorrow as thousands of fans flock to the city for the annual Cy-Hawk football game between the Iowa State Cyclones and the University of Iowa Hawkeyes. ESPN College Game Day will be there. The two teams are both ranked heading into the game for the first time. Ames Police Commander Jason Tuttle tells TV station KCCI that he expects 100,000 people to be in and around Jack Trice Stadium on game day. Kickoff for the sold-out game, which will air on ABC, is set for 3:30 p.m. Ames police will have extra personnel monitoring the Welch Avenue area before, during, and after the game. This is Iowa Public Radio's Here First. I'm Clay Masters.
This past year has been among the toughest in history. But you know what? Public radio and IPR were built for times like this. We were built on a foundation of real journalism, editorial independence, and listener support. In fact, editorial independence and listener support go hand in hand. Because of listener support, we can have robust editorial independence, and that's why your support matters, especially now. Please give at iowapublicradio.org. Thank you.
Agriculture is among the things that contribute to greenhouse gas emissions. The USDA says it accounts for more than 10%. Harvest Public Media's Jonathan Ahl reports some in the industry are looking for ways to reduce the carbon footprint while not sacrificing crop production or reducing farmers' already razor-thin profit margins.
Every 2 to 3 years, many farmers apply crushed limestone to their fields to regulate soil acidity and keep crops healthy. But scientists are running tests in fields around the world to see if using a different rock, crushed basalt, will work as well while also reducing agriculture's contribution to greenhouse gas emissions. Chris Reinhardt is a professor at Georgia Tech. He says all rocks help sequester carbon when they are buried in the soil, but basalt does it better.
For every ton of rock, it turns out, because of the chemistry of the rock, is higher for crushed basalt than it is for limestone.
Now researchers are testing how that works out in the field.
So these are all just kind of smaller beds that mostly we grow food. I have a little flower garden over here, some snap peas.
Gavi Welbel is pointing out some of the many fenced-off areas of Zumwalt Acres on this hot and windy day. She and her twin sister run the farm in eastern Illinois that is largely focused on small-scale farming. But they're also part of gathering information on how successful replacing crushed limestone with crushed basalt can be on big fields. She says the results they saw in their 12-acre hayfield of alfalfa, oats, and timothy grass were encouraging.
We saw a consistently increasing yield in the higher basalt plots, so that was very exciting. But we'll see as years go on if that's replicable.
Farmers typically apply about 2 tons of limestone per acre to fields, but the basalt experiment has plots ranging from a half ton to 24 tons per acre. Welbel says the more basalt you use, the more carbon is sequestered in the ground.
So we're looking at basically where we can get maximum carbon capture, and then also what does it look like at an application rate that would feel more comfortable for farmers and might be more economically feasible.
The testing is rigorous. Zumwalt Acres takes weekly soil samples from around the farm and bi-weekly water samples. They are sent to Yale University, where they are analyzed and combined with data from around the world. The Welbel family is also testing limestone versus different amounts of basalt on corn and soybean fields, and will have more data this fall. But using the eye test, the corn and beans with basalt are looking as good or better than the ones using limestone. Noah Planavsky is a professor at Yale and one of the researchers tracking the experiments at Zumwalt Acres and other test plots. He says capturing more carbon using basalt could help farmers sell credits in the carbon market, adding to the financial viability of the swap.
This is enough of a carbon negative process that you could think of this as another supplementary source of income for farmers. And that could be especially critical where farmers are going to get hit by more and more lousy years from climate extremes.
And the cost is the big factor on whether crushed basalt could realistically replace limestone on farms across the Midwest. Matt Lambert is a corn and soybean farmer in northern Missouri. He's not a part of this research project, but he likes the idea and would pursue it if it penciled out.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely consider it. My main concern with that would be the cost efficiency of that. I mean, lime is pretty readily available in our location. It's a cheap application, but if we could see additional benefit to it, yes, definitely.
The pilot programs to test basalt rock will go on for at least 2 more years, gathering data to test the environmental benefit and financial feasibility of making the change. Jonathan Ahl, Harvest Public Media.
Harvest Public Media is a collaboration of public media newsrooms across the Midwest and Great Plains, including Iowa Public Radio. It reports on food systems, agriculture, and rural issues. This is Iowa Public Radio's Here First. You can subscribe wherever you get podcasts. I'm Clay Masters. Thanks for listening.